Understanding domain groups in CookieBot. Let's dive in. Alrighty, just a minute about who I am. I'm Manisha Mitry. I'm an instructor at MeasureU. I became an instructor at MeasureU and a certified measurement marketer in 2022. As an instructor, I work with our dedicated measurement management clients. I help them implement tools like consent. I help them set it up. I help them manage it. I help them make sure it's running month to month. I love answering member questions. So if you have a question about consent, BigQuery, Stape, Analytics, Canvas, or Looker Studio, hit me up. Alrighty, with any one of our trainings, you want to remember one thing. You want to grasp out one thing, then go ride the bike, and then circle back, give it a watch, and grab another one thing. Before we begin, let's remember our measurement marketing framework that helps us go from marketing in the blind to marketing where you can rely on revenue and profit. There are three key pillars: plan, build, and launch. Plan is all about questions, information, and actions. Build is all about results, traffic, and story. And launch is then about listening, forecasting, and optimizing. You don't want to rush to optimizing. You want to have a plan, you want to have a build, and then a launch where you will optimize. Alrighty, let's dive into understanding domain groups in CookieBot. Alrighty, so let's get started here. Okay, so I have a couple of support pages loaded here. We're going to go through them in a second. I'm going to list them and link them below so you have access to them. We do have access to our CookieBot settings here. As you can see, this is our CookieBot login. They're known as user-centric. So we do have access here to create domain groups and stuff. You don't have to have this. If you have this, it's helpful, or at least know who you can go to get these settings updated, okay? And then we have Google Tag Manager. And then the two domains we're working with is our MeasureU website. So I'm going to actually head over there. So this is our MeasureU Circle community, and I'm going to hop over and go to our MeasureU website. Okay, so we're working with two domains right now. We have our MeasureU Circle community, and we have our MeasureU website. Okay, so let's actually hop into handy dandy Lucidchart first. Okay, so what is a domain group? So per their support documentation, a domain group, as its name indicates, is a collection of domains in the manager that share the same configuration. Domains that are added to the same domain group behave the same way. Okay, so I'm actually going to grab this and I'm going to go into draw.io and I'm going to pop this in here. And I'm going to put it. So what does this mean in plain and simple English, right? Because sometimes this is like, what do you mean? Okay, so I'm actually going to pop this over here. Okay, so here is a domain group. Let's say this is your domain group. Okay. And in here, you can have all your domains. Let's say we had profitschool.com. We could also have MeasureU.com. We could have datadrivenyou.com, right? And what it means is all these domains in here will have a banner that behaves the same, okay? And that's the key. Keyword is a banner. And the reason I'm saying that, say banner that behaves the same. I'm just typing this up. Let me type that out. Okay. Banner that behaves the same. And the reason I'm saying banner specifically is when you come into here, what you can do for a single domain group is you can configure the banner. So you can configure, do you want it Swift or do you want it custom? Do you want explicit consent or do you want implied consent, right? You can go through and set up your banner. And the nice thing is you set it up once and you can use the same domain group to install that banner on all these sites. Now, if you look at this article, it goes a little further. It says, additionally, cross-domain consent sharing can be enabled for all domains listed under the same domain group. This feature allows you to collect consent for all domains within the same domain group on any of the domains. This ensures that visitors don't ask for consent when moving from one domain to another. Now, that makes it sound like, I'm going to hop back into my .io, and actually scroll down here. We're going to do this. If I start off at profitschool.com, let's put the domain there. I'm going to blow this guy up just a little and put it there. Then I head over to, let's say, MeasureU. And I always struggle with spelling this for some reason, guys. Okay, there, got it right. If I don't do it right away from the start. And then data-driven you. Okay? So that makes it sound like if I go from here to here, and then say I go from here to here, I don't want it to do that. And or from here to here, let's do that. But then I go from here to here, okay? It makes it sound like, shut this guy down. And we'll just put this guy here. Okay, it makes it sound like if I move between these sites, I don't need to reconsent, okay? And that is not the case. So if you scroll down in this article, it does a really good job of explaining how cross-domain consent changed when Google released storage partition feature within Chrome, okay? And it's super important to understand this, especially when you're playing domain groups, because it's very easy to say, yep, we can move between domains based on this, but you have to be very aware that Google made some changes recently to the storage partition, and that's affecting how consent can actually be carried from domain to domain, and if it can't be, and how there's limitations in the browser that we can't bypass, okay? So the truth is, even if these guys are in the same domain group, see this image here, not there, sorry, here, it clearly says that even though you're moving from this domain to this domain, and even if they're the same domain group, you can't carry consent between them. So this line, this line, this line, and this line, if I get it right there, I'm going to turn these red. And this one didn't turn red, so let's go turn this one red too. Hopefully pick the same red color and go apply. There. That will not work. Those red lines will not work. So the question then is, what's the advantage of having a domain group? So these are all different domains. And because of storage partition, let me go back into this article. Because of storage partition, right, and the features with Chrome, you cannot share consent from domain to domain. But you can share consent with domains that go from like the same level basically, right? They're at the same level. So it says, actually they say everything else here. That means consent submitted on a domain can be shared with other domains on the same level or within or with the domains on a higher level. The reverse is unfortunately not true. So meaning that I can go from a subdomain to a main domain and I can share consent. So let's talk about that for a second, okay? So let's then grab this guy, and we happen to have a subdomain right now. So we have my.measureu.com, right? There's our circle play, right? I'm going to actually hop to it right now. As you can see, my.measureu.com, okay? And then we have another domain, or main domain, which is, hold on here. I don't know why that popped up there. And we have MeasureU.com, meaning that if somebody consents here, the consent should carry over here. This should be a nice blaring, I can start brain. And I am going to make this nice and green, okay? So this is allowed, meaning that if I consent here, consent's carried over, okay? So let's see that in action. So what I have here is I have a Google Tag Manager, and we have made a small change. And to show you guys what change we made, I'm going to show you guys the change we made. Is originally in this trigger, we actually had some pages. You know what I'm going to do? Actually, I am going to disregard. I'm going to show you guys exactly how this looked a few seconds ago. I'm going to abandon this change and go find that tag and trigger. Okay, so I'm actually going to go back into tags. And I'm going to go into here and find it. And this is the trigger. So I'm going to click on the trigger. Remember, the trigger is when? And we said it. We said only fire the banner. It's, CookieBot consent banner. I'll show you the tag, guys. This is a tag, right? CookieBot consent banner. When the page URL doesn't contain the my, right? My dot, right? And we didn't want it firing on my MeasureU, but let's say we do. So we're just going to actually take this condition out and hit save, meaning that I'm not going to publish the container because I don't want this change live on the site. But if I was to do preview right now and head over to our circle property, it should pop the banner. So let's actually do that. We are going to delete our cookies. I'm just waiting for my cookies to pop. And I'm going to get rid of all my cookies. So they're gone. I'm going to close that site. And then my banner's still popping here, so I don't need to get rid of my cookies. But just to be safe, I'm one of those people, when you're testing consent, just like clean house. It's okay. You can delete all your cookies. And this Chrome extension does an awesome job of that, okay? So I'm going to back into Tag Manager, and I'm going to go preview. And I'm just going to let it load. Like, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to rush it. And I'm going to go to the site. And I was supposed to do this and this, okay? And I'm going to go connect. Now, because we removed that from the trigger, we do want the banner to pop, right? So let's give it a second and let's see if it pops. So just kind of like hands off, let Tag Manager do a thing. It'll take a minute. Don't worry about it. So just kind of let it do its thing. Take a sip of coffee if you need to. It's fine. So good news is we got the green check mark. I'm going to hop back in here. And we see this has loaded. And I'm going to come down here. And what I want to look for is consent initialization. I want to see that this fired. Okay. Now I'm going to come back in here and we see our banner popping. So this is awesome, right? Remember, we wanted our banner to pop here because I want a consent here, but I want the consent to carry forward. Going back into the draw.io, I want that consent to carry forward to MeasureU.com because I don't want a user who's moving from Circle to our site. Let's say, they're moving to a cart or they're moving to a blog to have to reconsent, right? That'd be a little bit annoying. So, and per cross-domain settings, that is possible, right? And because they're in the same domain group, right? And I've done that already here. In here, I put them in this same domain group and I've turned on cross-domain tracking, right? So as long as they're in the same domain group and they have cross-domain tracking on, right? We're going to go in here and we're going to go allow. So now I've officially consented. Okay, and you can see I have my consent here, all good. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I had a post in here. I'm going to have to log in. So bear with me for a second while I log into Circle. Because it logged me out when I deleted my cookies. That's what it's supposed to do. So we're just going to get in here. I am hoping that is the right password. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm just waiting for LastPass to appear. Just because sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes the password, LastPass grabs the wrong one and then you're like trying to log in and it doesn't let you log in. I can't be the only one who's been there. Okay, so good news is this is letting me log in. So we're now giving it a second to load. Alrighty, so now we're logged in. We still have our little funny paperclip in the corner here. I love having this little paperclip and we see that. The other thing you can do is come into your cookies on the site and then look for the word consent and you'll see cookie consent and this is your consent value. And if you look at this really closely, it'll actually say like the values that you said true to. So we said true to everything, so that's fine. Okay, so in here, happen to have created this. Let's go to MeasureU. Okay, so now I'm going to click this and the understanding, let's just remember our expectation, right? Our expectation is we go from here and we don't get that re-pop-up, but our consent choices continue forward. So we're going to actually do that. We're going to come here and we're going to go to MeasureU. So we clicked, we're hands off. Let's see what happens, guys. We're looking for our funky little paperclip in the corner. We're going to check our cookies in a second. We're going to let GTM do its thing. We're going to let CookieBot do its thing. So good news, if you notice in the corner, the banner did pop. Sorry, not the banner. The paperclip popped, and we can see it carried forward. We're going to hop into our cookies, and we're going to look for our consent here. We can see it carried forward. So this way, let's say you started on here and this was like, oh, let's go to MeasureU and read the recent blog that, Julie wrote or Manisha wrote on server-side tracking. You can click on this and it would take you there and you don't need to reconsent, right? So the way cross-domain tracking works and domain groups works, it lets you group these domains together. Go back in here. Group these domains together. And because you check the box, it allows cross-domain consent sharing. Now, remember, it is really specific that cross-domain consent sharing works when you're in this relationship. It does not work in this relationship because of Google's limitations. This is tied to just, wrong article, I'm going to go to this one, just because of the way Google has it, right? Is that you can't share consent between these kind of domains, but you can definitely share them at a higher level. So keep that in mind if you're working with clients who have multiple domains. Domain groups are also useful, going back into here, if you do have a bunch of sites, you're not worried about consent carrying forward, but you want to use the same banner on the sites, right? So you want to implement one banner and have that banner used on all 3 sites. And something very much I am thinking about right now to do, and actually start a new page here, I'm thinking of doing this right now. If you come into our CookieBot, you notice we have a MeasureU consent banner, and then we're starting to look at Profit School now. I am starting to actually think about, kind of give you an idea, is because, all the companies are under this brand, which is Measure Holdings Groups, I'm actually thinking to create a domain group, like this, and then in this domain group have all our brands, profitschool.com, MeasureU.com, and so forth, because that way I can configure the banner and I can put all our, our My MeasureU in here, mymeasureu.com, and do myprofitschool.com. And remember, if we were to do this, if we were to set this up, I go back here, I'm going to grab this guy, copy this. We would totally be able to carry consent in this case. I'm going to copy this because they're all in the same domain group. And in Let me just do this. Profit School. Bear with me for a second. Profit School. So we would totally have green arrows between these two. But if we try to go from here to here, or here to here, or take this out of here, here to here, these are all, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, or here to here. Let's do this way, right? These all are not going to work. I'm trying to move this up a little. These all are not going to work, right? Because, try to make this one red and this one red. And where is my color changer? There it is. These are all red. Why is that? Because if you try to move between the sites, because they are different domains and they're on different levels, they're not going to carry forward, right? These domains are not going to carry forward, just like that image. Where's that image? That image is showing you here. So that's something to keep informed is you can definitely use domain groups to group domains together. Just note of the level of the domain and if they're at a higher level or same level. So you want to be, keep that in mind, right? You want to keep that in mind. Now, before we end off, we just want to mention one final thing. Throughout this workshop, we've been showing this user interface by User-Centric. Just know that in the past few weeks, User-Centric has updated their user interface, and they have a very, I'm going to say, easy to navigate, easy to sign up user interface that they have, which is super awesome. I'm actually going to show you guys that live, so I'm going to hop in here. The reason we have the older interface, just to kind of give you guys a hot second, is why we have this older interface is because we're longtime users of CookieBot, and we're actually on their legacy plan, and that's why we love them so much, because we're also paid partners. So I'm actually going to come into, I just went to admin.cookiebot.com, and I'm going to go sign up. And literally all you're going to have to do is type in here an email. So I'm actually going to type in here Manisha plus teaching. I'm going to put 1@MeasureHoldings.com. Okay, so I just did this, and I'm going to go continue. It's going to send me an email with a code. So I am literally just hopping over to my email to get this code. So bear with me for 1 second while I type it in. It's 237-967. Continue. We're just going to kind of go through it. So now we got to pick a password. I'm going to use LastPass for my password. So hold on for 1 hot minute. So here we go. I'm going to go continue. I can go save here so I don't lose this password. And I'm literally just giving this a minute. Yeah, I'll add this password to LastPass one. I just have it just in case. Now, as you notice, I was able to start my trial completely for free without a credit card. I did not have to enter credit card information once. So that's an awesome thing, is you can quickly get signed up and get a banner going and show your client, the banner working before you even pay for it. So I'm not going to fill this out. Recommend you fill this out, but I'm not going to fill this out on this live training. So just going to close this off. Now we're going to enter our domain. So I'm actually just going to go grab our MeasureU domain. I have it handy here. So I'm literally just going to pop it in here, and I'm just going to pull off the UTMs because I don't think it needs those. Okay, then I'm going to go with GDPR as my template. You pick the correct template for your client's needs. Go next. We're just going to quickly get set up here. I'm not going to go through all the banner details. There are other workshops that teach this all, so we're going to link those below. And we're just going to pop through. So we're just letting this load, and you can go through their Google Tag Manager setup. They'll actually give you all the steps. Like I said, we also teach that in another workshop, and we will link that below. So I'm going to go finish. Now, specifically related to domain groups, to see your domain groups, you're going to come into domains, and you're going to give it a hot second to load, and then you're going to see your domain groups here. And see, this is our group domain, right? This is our domain. Now, we can only add one domain if we're on the free trial. So once I, upgrade and pay, then I can add my second domain, the mymeasureu.com. But we're not going to do that right now. I just want to show you where you can manage your domain groups. See, under domain groups, you see domain group 1, you'll see manage your domain group. So I'm going to click on that. And then you're going to come and click on this caret. And remember in here, I showed you in here, you have the domains, and then you have the cross domain tracking here. So I'm going to actually pop back in here. And you're going to come in here, and this is where you check the box. Now remember, the levels all still apply. So you have to be at this, the levels apply that I mentioned, where you have to be at the same level, or it's, below level to a higher level. It cannot be 2 different domains, so it can't be like profitschool.com to measureu.com. So those rules still apply. It is just the user interface of CookieBot that has changed, and that is why we just want to mention that. And then you basically save changes, and now you have that tracking. Now, You can only add one domain on the free tier, but the minute you pay for it, they will give you the ability to add multiple domains. Alrighty, so there you have it. That is understanding domain groups in CookieBot. What was your one thing? I have to say for our team, it was getting our head wrapped around domain groups and then around cross domain sharing was something that definitely took us a hot minute. Okay. And it's something that I always think is the one thing because many clients, right, we've interacted with, I'm kidding you not, have at least two domains. Yes, they have the main domain like abc.com, but then they also have like a subdomain or something. And the ability to understand consent sharing between these domains is super, super important. And the best way to set it up using tools like CookieBot. We love CookieBot because we are paid partners of CookieBot, right? So personally love the tool, find it so easy to set up. This is something really important to understand as you're going to, walk into this consent world that is definitely growing, right? So, let us know your one thing in the comments and definitely jump into MeasureU to share it. Speaking of MeasureU, if you want to join MeasureU, joining the community is completely free. This workshop in there is free along with many other consent tools and resources. You can join by going to measureu.com/workshop. You can join the community completely for free. So there you have it. That is understanding domain groups in CookieBot.